This is my match footage for the West End Gun Club LESA Multigun match that was held February 18th, 2023. Starting with stage 1, the shooter starts at the side of the box and proceeds to enter and then eliminate all knockdown steel targets with a pistol. This was the first match of the year, so I have quite a bit of rust to knock off. As you can see, I have quite a few misses with handguns. Right here I forget my stage plan. It would have been better for me to engage this steel target with the cluster of steel targets at the end of the pistol portion and take this specific target a little bit closer. Finally finishing off the steel, I retrieve my rifle and continue my dumpster fire of the stage. I have a slight malfunction here, as I'm running a new setup. I've moved away from my usual LPVO on a high mount to an EOTech with a magnifier, and I'm still getting used to the setup. You can see a lowly target over there that I completely forget about, that I'm going to have to backtrack in a moment to get.
Shit.
At this point, right at the end of the stage, I realize that there's one target left over that can only be engaged from at the very beginning of the rifle portion of the stage, and I waste quite a bit of time going to it. I should have just eaten the penalty, as I took way more time to go over there and engage that target than I would have if I just took the penalty. Finishing this mess of a stage, I landed 21st out of 29 shooters, with 43.41% of the winner's score. This was most definitely the worst stage of the day. We're back on with the Ellingwood Curse on stage 2. This is a fairly simple stage overall that pushes your hide over bore knowledge. The turtles are engaged with rifle, while the steel and torsos are engaged with pistol. My presentations could have been a lot better. That single target that's standing all by its lonesome could have been engaged much easier, and the cluster of 3 could have been engaged from a separate port instead of having to move around so much. Dumping my rifle, I switch over to pistol and start off pretty poorly. I ate a no-shoot and a failure to engage on the stage. I wasn't really in the best headspace at this point. And you can see it, there are portions. I'm not really positively controlling my handgun here. You can kind of see that my grip isn't as tight as it really should be on certain portions of this. Going back to that positive headspace issue, I completely forgot a reload, causing me to conduct a standing reload. The lonesome target is spared and goes on to fight another day. Not as bad as stage 1, but still pretty bad. 18th out of 29 shooters, with 51.97% of the winner's score. Stage 3 was, I believe, my best stage. A bunch of static steel that's all engaged with handguns. There's no particular order on how they need to be shot. Once a string is eliminated, the shooter moves from their current shooting box to the next and takes out any visible targets. The shooter repeats this until they're done. When I start my engagements, I seem to be shooting left to right. I think I'm trying to avoid an instance where I finish shooting on target on the left and I rush and break the 180. Unlike stage 1, I remember to actually conduct my reload between positions. Not too shabby, 8th out of 29 shooters, with 87.5% of the winner's score. Not as simple as stage 3, but stage 4 is still fairly simple. 3 targets, 3 boxes, 2 hits on each. I have more misses than I would really like, just because I'm going a little bit faster than I should. Dumping my rifle and switching to my pistol, there's an array of steel knockdown targets that need to be eliminated. At least one of the steel in the string needs to be taken out from each port in the leftmost barricade. I actually remember to conduct a reload here, but completely forget that I already engaged one of the targets. That's going to come up in a moment here.
Fuck. Oh.
And finally, the last array, the steel in the front are knockdowns while the steel in the rear are static. The shooter must engage the rear steel before the front steel, or else eat a penalty.
One more, last one. Thank you.
I could have gone a little bit faster here if I didn't forget about some of the steel targets and tighten up my rifle shooting, 9th out of 29 shooters, with 76.53% of the winner's score. And finally, we have Stage 5. This is the first stage of the day. There are 3 barricades and 6 targets. All 6 must be engaged from each barricade. The targets at 100 and 200 yards can be shot while bracing, but the 50-yard targets must be shot offhand. I have quite a few misses on this stage, and particularly bad misses at 200 yards, where I have to aim off the edge of the target to even get hits. I thought I had re-zeroed this rifle after switching on optics, but I didn't do a good enough job. As I transition from the 100-yard to 200-yard targets, I switch on my magnifier. Later through the stage, all of my 100-yard and 200-yard engagements are shot with the magnifier. For the second barricade, the shooter must get 2 hits on target, with the caveat being that you need to switch between targets as you hit them.
Hit! 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 Hit!
Once I account for my zeroing issue, the steel is much easier to hit. Looking over my match footage, I realize I really should be reloading whenever I transition from position to position, especially on these longer rifle stages where I'm burning more ammo than I should.
Hit! 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 Hit!
I managed to get my breathing under control, get my hit, and then realize I have a malfunction.
Ah, that was horrible.
Still not my worst stage, but with all of my issues from zeroing to a new setup, I landed 14th out of 29 shooters with 61.85% of the winner's score. Overall, I landed 13th out of 29 shooters with 69.48% of the winner's score. I could have done significantly better if I had more concise stage planning and didn't miss as much. This match showed just how rusty I was and quite a few of my shortcomings. I really didn't have a positive attitude this match, and it shows. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you have, please leave a like and a comment, it's greatly appreciated. As always, I try to get out at least one match video out on the first Wednesday of the month.